You may have heard that artificial intelligence is trained on everything on the internet, and that once it's read everything on the internet and was trained on it, what does it train on next? So, yeah, new things keep getting uploaded to the web all the time, but increasingly, more and more of those new things are themselves AI generated. So the AI is being trained on other stuff made by AI, like a snake eating its own tail. And what happens as a result is mad cow disease. No, wait, model collapse. The models collapse if there isn't any actual new data coming in, if it's just retreads of the old data over and over again. So what's going to happen next? Is AI doomed? Are we seeing the end of AI development? And I will tell you where the new data is coming from and why there's basically an infinite training data glitch kind of thing out there, and where the AI companies are going to get data next. And spoiler alert, some of that is you. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Korolov. I've been a technology journalist for over 20 years, and I cover enterprise technology. What this means is I don't write about the hype that vendors are pushing. I don't write about the investment market fluctuations and all the emotional investing out there. I write about what businesses are actually doing and what works and what doesn't work. And every day I talk to business executives who tell me things like, yeah, we tried this didn't work. We tried this other thing, that kind of worked. We tried this next thing, that worked a lot better. So here's our strategy going forward. So those are the kinds of stories I write. And that gives me a unique perspective on what's happening in artificial intelligence, because I'm actually seeing what's happening on the ground by the people actually using it, as opposed to the vendors pushing the marketing. All right, so is AI running out of data? No, nowhere close. Where's the data coming from? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 main sources. I got my notes pulled up here. The reason I have notes pulled up is because I have recorded this video 3 times already. And each time something horrible has happened with either the video or the sound, and I'm having to start over again from scratch. If you hear any other sound issues, let me know in the comments. If you have any suggestions, I'm gonna invest in a new microphone setup or something, because I'm getting so fed up with it. YouTube is hard. I'm a print person. I have a voice and face meant for print, not video. But in these days of AI, you really have to have a personal connection to your audience. And nobody notices my bio when they read my articles. It's true. So I need to find a way forward, because I know that AI is coming for my job. I'm right there in the crosshairs. I lived through the .com situation where the traditional journalism industry imploded, and I can see the same thing happening again. So I am also highly personally motivated to keep an eye on what's happening with AI. Not just because I'm paid to, but also because my life is on the line. Oh, my professional life is on the line. So in this channel, I talk about what I see happening, what I'm hearing from business executives actually doing the stuff, and from what it means to creative professionals, people like myself, freelancers, artists, people who work in all the creative arts, or people who have day jobs doing creative things, creating text content or video content or visual content, and whose professions are being disrupted right now. How do you find a path forward? I am looking for a path forward, and I'm going to be sharing my journey with you guys, what works, what doesn't. And maybe if you follow along with me, you might, I don't know, find a sympathetic ear. I answer all the comments in the comments, because my channel is small, so I don't have that many subscribers, so I can afford to. All right, so where is AI getting its training data? First of all, internal business processes. If you are a company, you have been creating data for quite a few years now for the purpose of doing analytics and machine learning. Both analytics and machine learning require a lot of data. So you've been collecting it, you have pipelines set up to collect this data. And now companies are repurposing this data for generative intelligence. Now, generative AI requires a slightly different kind of data than machine learning and analytics. It can take in more varieties of data, like it can take in free-form text and sound and video and lots of other things, code, PDFs. But it also needs to have different policy controls, security controls, different ways of organizing the pipeline. And all of that is up in the air and changing very quickly because of things like RAG embedding and MCP servers, which I talked about in other videos. Companies have data. So the data comes from internal operations. They sell something, there's a transaction record. They order something from a vendor, there's a transaction record. They have an interaction with the customer support. They answer a customer question. All of that's recorded, all those conversations are recorded, and they continue to get recorded as the company continues to stay in business. Employee workflow data. Every time an employee does something digitally, it's recorded somewhere. Increasingly, phone calls are also recorded, and video conversations with clients and other employees are recorded. All of this is training data. So AI can learn about how your company works or specific aspects of your company, like finances or HR or software development or manufacturing. A lot of data is coming in from manufacturing floors. So all of this is useful data. That data is not stopping. That data is increasing as companies deploy more sensors, more data collecting technologies, because they now have a really great use for all this data. And so they're collecting more data than ever before. The cost of storage are dropping, so they can afford to collect more data than ever before. And the speed of movement of data is increasing, so they can move more data around than ever before. And that means plenty of data. How do companies use it? They use it for context. So they might use this data when interacting with a large language model and say, I want you to write a piece of code, but look at all this code we've written before on a similar problem. Or we're answering customer service question. Here's all the ways we've answered that similar questions in the past. So that they can do that via RAG embedding or via MCP servers. So they can funnel a limited selection of that data into a large language model when they ask the question. And they would embed this into a business workflow. If they're asking a large language model to write a customer letter, they might have examples from previous letters, a company style book, other kinds of information they would feed into it. Another way of using the data to train a model is for fine tuning. So you take an off-the-shelf model, either a commercial one that has a fine tuning system or an open source one that you download and you run on your own servers or in your own cloud instance. And you can fine tune that model on your own data. So the model becomes much better at solving your own company problems. Or you can use that training data to train a brand new model, often a small language model that's specialized to a particular narrow task, which means it can be much more accurate at doing just that task and less likely to hallucinate and go off the rails. So that's how companies are using this data. Another way they're using this data is by sharing it with vendors. So for example, I might have a sales platform that I'm using, a customer relationship management system from a big vendor. And I upload all my data to it. And the vendor, depending on my contract with the vendor, might use some of this data in anonymized form, or they might use portions of the workflow data or the structure behind my data or other insights they gleaned from my data in order to train their back-end model. And the companies benefit from this because the vendor's AI gets smarter. but also they might lose out a little bit because their training data is used to train the model that helps other companies. And they don't have full control of their training data anymore. Maybe they want to train their own AI on their own data. That's a question for later. They can discuss this among themselves. This data also goes to train the large language models, like the ChatGPTs and the Claudes and everybody else, because depending on, again, on your contract with that vendor, they might use your training data to lesser or greater degree. And so be careful about the contracts you sign and exactly what the data sharing amounts to. But that's also a source of potential data for the big commercial AI companies. Speaking of big commercial AI companies, they also get training data every time you use their AIs. So the more popular an AI gets, the more people use it, the more it learns. So say, for example, you're using a free image generator. Odds are, unless you specifically opt out, the reason that it's free is because you are the training data. So it might give you 4 images and you might download one of them. Or it might give you an image and you might say, no, that wasn't what I asked for. Well, change it so it's like this and this. That is training data. If you use it to generate a stupid video of somebody eating spaghetti, and you say, this video is good, this video is not good, that helps the AI learn more about how the world works, learn more about physics, learn more about object permanence, learn more about the direction of time and cause and effect. This is all very useful stuff for multimodal models to know about how the world works, which is going to get reflected in future AI models. So every time you interact with a large language model and you don't know what the terms of service are and how your data is being used, odds are your data is being used to train the model. If that bothers you, make sure you opt out of the training data features. And that's something that you can look up for pretty much everyone. Then AIs can generate their own data. So instead of a company collecting data and feeding it into the AI, or users providing in feedback directly to their questions and generating data this way, AIs can run their own experiments and get their own data. So for example, you might have a marketing AI, and the job of this AI is to create advertisements and see how many people click on them. And so normally humans might say, okay, these are 3 ads look good. I will put all of them up, see which one gets the most clicks, and then I'll tell the AI to create more images like that one. Well, you can take the human out of the loop. The AI can run those experiments directly. It can generate images. It can test those images. It can see which performs better. It can tweak them. It can test them again, and test them again, and test them again, much faster than if a human was in the loop. And by doing so, it's generating its own training data. And AI can also generate its training data when it drives a car. It's collecting all this training data all the time if you have an AI in your car driving it. It's seeing how all the cars interacts, how the weather impacts everything. All of that is ongoing training data. A robot that's vacuuming your house is collecting training data on how your house is laid out, what works, what doesn't, all that kind of stuff. And it can run experiments. Well, what happens if I go this way? What happens if I hit this a little harder? That's all learning that the AIs can do. And some companies are starting to let the AIs go and start learning, start like collecting these experiments. An AI can run experiments when coding. So it can write a piece of code, see if that code works, because there's other software that will like run tests and do static and dynamic analysis of code and do security checks and stuff. So it can write the code, run it through the checks, see what works, see what doesn't, adjust the code, run it through the checks again. Or it can learn math. For example, AIs are bad at arithmetic. So the AI can add a bunch of numbers and then double check its work using a calculator to see if it got them or not. And if it didn't get the answer, adjust its process for how it adds the numbers, and then see if that works or not. And you can do that not just for addition, but all kinds of like mathematics and physics, anything that you can double check your work. And there's a lot of areas where double checking work is a lot easier than doing the work in the first place. So long division is hard, but checking your long division is a lot easier. Finding a square root is hard, but checking to see if you found a square root is a lot easier. So there's a lot of processes like that. A lot of scientific processes where the AI can run its own experiments. So it might say, for example, I think there's a star over there with planets. Let's collect all that data from that section of the sky and see if I'm right. So basically, it's an infinite number of areas where an AI can run experiments and generate its own data. Oh, one instance that's kind of related to AI's running experiments is an AI competing against itself. Very, very powerful tool. So you have one AI that's, say, defending against viruses. So it wants to figure out something's a virus. And you have a different AI that's writing viruses. And you set them against each other. And you see if the second AI can write a virus that the first AI can't catch. And so both of these programs get really, really good at it. We saw this happen with AlphaGo. And that was even before the current wave of generative AI tools. So AlphaGo played millions of games of Go against itself. And it got really, really good. It found brand new strategies that humans had never discovered, even though we've been playing Go for centuries. It found something new by running all these experiments against itself. So that was like a fantastic use of AI. There's a lot of instances where having two AIs compete can let them iterate and test and learn very, very quickly. So security is a great example. So one AI is defending a company and another AI is trying to break in. One AI is trying to write perfect code and another AI is trying to find vulnerabilities in that code. One AI is writing text and another AI is trying to figure out if an AI wrote that text or a human wrote that text. So many situations where an AI can compete against itself to get better and better and better. And in this competition, it can surpass the human baseline. So this is a case where the AI gets better than the basic sort of human knowledge it started with, which is a little frightening to all of us who think, oh, the AI is just trained on what humans have done, and it's no better than kind of like an average human. So no, that is not, in fact, the case. An AI can get much, much better than the average human. In fact, it can get better than the best human just with the technologies we already have. And the technology is improving constantly. Finally, the last source of training data, and this is the one that actually warms the cockles of my heart and gives me hope, and that is signing deals with content providers. So OpenAI has signed content deals with more than 160 publications. So many publications, news organizations, financial data providers, so many companies produce good data, good content, good news stories. They have fact checkers, they have editors. They often have decades of experience providing very clean, carefully curated information. And it's a gold mine for AI companies and a source of revenue for content creators. So Reddit has signed deals, Associated Press has signed deals, The Guardian has signed deals. I mean, so many news, like I said, 160 different publications have signed deals with OpenAI, and that's not even counting the ones that are signing deals with Anthropic, and of course Google has tons of sources of data, and Grok has its own sources of data. Facebook has its own sources of data on top of the stuff that you can buy. And so I like the fact that AI companies are spending money on this. It bodes well that these news organizations will continue to have some money to pay journalists. So that's a good thing. I don't think it will compensate for the loss of revenues to a drop in traffic due to AI news summaries. But we'll see what happens, right? So I got my fingers crossed that we'll find a way out through it. But if your plan was that you don't have to find a way through it because AI will stop improving because it's out of training data, that's not a good plan, because the AI will continue to keep improving, and we're going to have to come up with strategies for how to do it. I firmly believe that those strategies are out there. There is a path through, even for the creatives who are right in the crosshairs of the coming AI apocalypse. I think even for us, there is a way through it. We've seen it before with other technologies that had a similar kind of impact. So I am cautiously optimistic. It doesn't mean that everyone will get through it, but it means that we'll have some kind of options. And I talk about them in my other videos. So if you want to follow along, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, leave a question in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.